Let's be real. Most people in IT spend their entire careers chasing tools. They learn a new cloud service, a new coding language, or a new AI model every weekend. But here's the secret from the top 1%. Tools change, but blueprints are permanent. If you don't have a structural framework, you aren't building an enterprise system. You're just guessing. I have seen multi-million dollar projects fail in major banks not because the code was bad, but because the architecture was built on sand. Today, I am breaking down the Fab 4 of IT frameworks. These are the 4 pillars that every architect, VP, and head of technology must master to build systems that aren't just technical but strategic. If you want to stop being an order taker and start being a decision maker, this is your roadmap. Let's get into the first pillar. If you can't explain your technology in terms of business value, you aren't an architect, you're just an expensive engineer. This is where TOGAF comes in. Most people think it's just boring 500-page academic book, but in reality, TOGAF is the language of the boardroom. It's about standardization. It ensures that when you say architecture, the CEO, CFO, and the developer all hear the same thing. In TOGAF, we use the ADM or Architecture Development Method. It's a cycle that starts with business vision and ends with governance. In my experience across the Middle East, from Riyadh to Dubai, the companies that thrive are the ones that don't just do IT. They align their IT with a 5-year business strategy using a framework like TOGAF. It's the difference between a mess of silos and a unified enterprise. Here's the VP level truth. TOGAF isn't just about following every single rule in the book. It's about capability. It helps you define the target state where the company needs to be. I've sat in meetings where we have saved months of work simply by pointing to the business architecture phase and realizing the project we are building didn't actually solve the business problem. That's the power of a framework. It gives you the authority to say no to the wrong project and say yes to the ones that move the needle. If you want to be respected by top tier industries, you need to speak the language of enterprise architecture development method. Now, most architects build a system and then hand it to the security team to fix. That's the recipe for a disaster. You need a bridge, and that bridge is SAPSA. While the TOGAF focuses on the what and how of the business, SAPSA focuses on the business attributes of security. It's a multi-layered framework that asks, what are we actually trying to protect? Is it confidentiality or availability, or is it the company's reputation? SAPSA allows you to map a high-level business risk directly down to a technical firewall rule. It's the gold standard for security architecture because it's traceable. When a regulator asks why you choose a specific encryption standard, you don't just say because it's the latest or more cool. You just point to your SAPSA matrix and show exactly which business risk that choice is mitigating. That's how you win a technical audit. SAPSA is the secret weapon for anyone working in banking or finance industries. It uses a 6-layer model from the contextual layer that the CEO understands down to the component layer that the engineer builds. In my world, we use SAPSA to ensure security isn't just a checkbox, it's an enabler. It allows the business to take calculated risk. If you can show your head of risk that your architecture has a direct line of sight from a business goal to a security control, you aren't just a tech leader anymore. You are a risk strategist. This is the missing link in most IT careers, and mastering it puts you in the top 1% of the architects globally. Now, coming to category 3, you can't protect what you don't understand. In 2026, the NIST cybersecurity framework is the global baseline for resilience. Whether you are in a major bank or a tech startup, the board of directors wants to know one thing: are we safe? NIST gives you the answer. With the new cybersecurity framework 2.0, it's no longer just about protecting and detecting. It adds a critical 6th function: govern. This means security is now a leadership responsibility. It covers the entire life cycle. Identify your assets, protect them, detect anomalies, respond to incidents, and most importantly, recover. In an era of constant ransomware threats, NIST isn't just about building walls. It's about building a system that can take a hit and keep the lights on. It's about building for resilience. The beauty of NIST is its common language. I can take a NIST assessment and show it to a CISO in Saudi or an auditor in the UK, and they both understand the maturity level immediately. It's about moving from ad hoc security to a managed and optimized state. In my experience, especially when dealing with regulatory frameworks like SAMA or CBUAE, NIST is the perfect companion. It provides the technical how-to for the regulators what to. When you use NIST, you are demonstrating that you aren't just building for today, you are building for a defensive posture that can evolve with the threat landscape. It's the security shield of your Fab 4. Okay, now you have the business strategy, the security bridge, and the defensive shield. Now you need to actually build. This is where the well-architected framework comes in. Whether you are on AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud, this is the manual for cloud excellence. It's built on 6 pillars: security, reliability, performance, cost, operations, and sustainability. This is where the rubber meets the road. Most people think they know the cloud until they have to pass a well-architected review. It's a brutal, honest assessment of your technical depth. It asks the hard questions. Have you tested your failover? Are you over-provisioning your servers? Is your data encrypted at rest? If you can't answer yes with evidence, you aren't an architect yet. You are just an engineer with a credit card. The well-architected framework, simply WAF, is my go-to for operational excellence. In the Middle East, where we are seeing a massive shift towards cloud-first strategies, this framework is the guardrail that prevents disaster. It's about trade-offs. You might sacrifice a bit of performance to save 30% on your cloud bill, or you might spend more on reliability because the cost of downtime for a banking app is too high. Being an architect is about making these choices intentionally. When you combine the technical depth of a well-architected with the strategic breadth of TOGAF, you become unstoppable. You are building systems that are fast, secure, and more importantly, profitable for the business. Here's the gold standard secret. None of this framework work in isolation. If you know only well-architected, you're too technical. If you know only TOGAF, you're too academic. To be the top 1% architect, you need the cohesion. Use TOGAF to define the why. Use APSA to define the risk. Use NIST to define the defense. And use well-architected to define the execution. When you bring these 4 together, you aren't just building a system, you are building a legacy. You are creating a single source of truth that survives through different managers, different vendors, and even different cloud providers. This is the Fab 4 mindset. It's how you build an empire that lasts. I've spent years perfecting this balance and I'm still working on it. I've also seen what happens when you miss even one of these pillars. Without TOGAF, the business thinks you are a cost center. Without SAPSA, the security team thinks you are a threat. Without NIST, the regulator thinks you are a risk. And without well-architected, the cloud bill thinks you are a millionaire. Mastering the Fab 4 is the ultimate secret in the IT industry. It shows that you have the vision of a VP and the precision of an architect. It earns you the respect of your peers and the trust of your leadership. It's the highest standard of IT leadership. Here's the final truth. Frameworks are not just documents, they are the maturity of your career. You can learn a new tool in a weekend, but it takes a lifetime to master the logic of a framework. As an architect, your value is your judgment, and your judgment is only as good as the framework you use to make it. We have covered the Fab 4, TOGAF for strategy, SAPSA for the bridge, NIST for the defense, and well-architected for execution. These are the pillars of the top 1%. So, which one of these 4 is your weakest link right now? Be honest in the comments. I want to see the builders who are ready to level up their mindset. I'm Gokul and I'll see you in the next one. Let's keep building.